Okay, so we thought we had this quarantine thing under control, and then in the middle of fucking April, we got a blizzard in Maine and lost power for 2 days. So the wettest, heaviest snow you can think of, 6, 7 inches of it, trees down everywhere. There's a massive oak tree across the street, fell down in the middle of the night, which scared the shit out of everybody. And then, so we've had no power, and now we have a mini hurricane coming tomorrow, 55-mile-an-hour winds, gusts of 65 miles an hour. So it's going to be a mess. So it's an additional challenge, and who the fuck knows anymore? It's just a whole thing. So anyway, we're going to talk now to Andrea Shreeman, and it's going to be great. And then at some point, I am going to be able to turn this around and upload it and have enough internet and power to do that. But without further ado, here is my conversation with Andrea.
All right, we're talking with Andrea Shreeman. She is a filmmaker and a crowdfunding person. She, her feature script, Max Wrigley and the Incredible Chewing Catastrophe, she's adapting that into a series, and she is also working on a true crime drama, and she's done a bunch of other stuff, and thank you for talking to me on Easter.
Yeah,
the holiest Easter. Of days.
It's really a different Easter this year, isn't it?
It is. It is. There was no Easter when I went to the store yesterday because my mother-in-law needed more alcohol, and that was an urgent thing.
You're a good boy.
I'm trying to stay on
a good Catholic
side.
boy?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
There was I got there and I'm like, oh, I didn't buy any Easter things last time I was here, like whatever, a week ago or whatever. And there was nothing. There was like 5 Cadbury cream eggs.
Oh.
And that was it. So.
Well, that's an Easter right there. That's pretty much all you need. That's like baseline Easter.
So I found a bunch of other chocolate and then I just loaded it into the toddler and.
Called it Easter.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we usually go to Houston, my husband's family. My husband's from Houston, kind of Houston. He's from Clear Lake, which is where NASA is. Okay. So, he grew up with all these astronauts kids. It was really interesting.
That's intimidating.
Yeah, but it was just part of his life and his culture. So he knew all these guys and women who were going up and returning and sometimes not returning. Challenger was a big thing for him. But we go every year to Houston for Easter, and his mom has been throwing an Easter egg hunt, big thing for the kids for 20 years. And so
not so much this year.
Not so much this year, yeah.
Yeah, my mother's decided she's going to do Easter in August this year.
Yeah.
Which that's what she told us today. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? What are days? What are months? It's all a mess.
It's a little bit of a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's talk about that. How are you coping with this? Other than wanting to strangle the children?
I don't want to strangle my child. So that's good.
You're ahead of me
then. Okay. I have one son. He's 7 years old. I actually love homeschooling him because he thrives that way. And we get to do a lot of fun things his school is pretty cool too, but he definitely prefers being at home. But it has really thwarted my workflow.
Sure.
And that is super hard. But I probably, like everyone else, I'm finding new resources that are super valuable. And I'm also I find this time is a lot about, pulling the weeds and throwing out the things that maybe were a little fat on the whole system, and, just streamlining and trying to get as focused and as organized as possible. Sundance Collab, all their stuff is free right now. So that's good. I've scheduled myself to see a few of those. I tapped into some stuff that USC, I got my master's there. Finally found my diploma.
Oh.
It's just up there.
Look at that.
My dad moved. I'd been bitching at USC for a decade. You never sent me a diploma. And then trying to get them to send me one for free because they cost $100. And I was like, 100, I don't know. If you had said 45.
Yeah.
But then my dad moved out of the house they'd been in for 40 years, and he mailed me. He was like, "Oh, I found this." So I finally got the. Anyway, so I tapped into some stuff that USC is doing. There's Dorse Life, which is maybe it's like a political. I don't know exactly what that school does, but they're having these really interesting webinars, and I'm using all my resources like Glass Elevate. There's a woman named Joanna Bowser who has a film company called Film Watch. And she's probably like helped me more than anyone during this time, because she's doing these just free 2-hour work sessions where everybody comes together and says, hey, what are you going to do? 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 And every like 30 minutes, you just kind of do a stretch break and check in. But it's been a great way for me to say to my kid, I love you so much. And I've had a lot of fun on our big hike where we found lizards and then, built a fort and did some Legos and did some math. And now you got to leave me alone for 2 hours.
Now it's time to watch a movie.
Or something. Yeah, I do every day I'm letting him do these like lunchtime play dates. So he's getting to see a friend every day, and he's engaged for like in that way, for fun for like an hour. So I don't know, just I mean
I feel you. I was a friend of mine asked on Facebook, like just before we did this, they're like, what are you most looking forward to when this is all over? And I replied, dropping the children off at grandma's house.
You know what? It's really crazy, but when I do that, so my husband is an essential worker. He's going into work every day. So that hasn't changed. And of course, #blessed, we still have our main source of income, or our consistent source of income coming in. And that's great. So we can pay our mortgage. Okay. So I'm not showing off. I know a lot of people are struggling. But I drive the kid to school. I usually get home at like 8 a.m. And when I close the door after I get in the house, or he's in a carpool, when they come and pick him up at 7:30 and I walk back in the door, I notice that I have a thing where I'm like, God, like I'm all alone. I get to work, and yeah, I don't have that right now.
No, it's gone.
Yeah, there's none of that at all.
Now, the first one of these I recorded with Marty, the kid busted in like 4 times and was showing me cars or whatever he does. He's 3, so he doesn't care.
It's harder. I mean, I think the older they get, the easier it is.
Yeah.
Or if they have a sibling, they can go.
Yeah, he has 2 older sisters, so there's that, and they can sort of wrangle him for stretches, but they also then get distracted with their own things, or they have to do their schoolwork, stuff like that.
But you have a partner that's also helping out?
Yeah, my wife and I, we're still working too, because we own a soap shop, and people kind of need soap now. So we make
soap shop really took off.
Yeah, no, actually it hasn't really, because people just assume we're closed. And we're trying not to go there as much because the children are home, so our production's gone down, but it hasn't gone away. And so we're just shipping things online now. And nobody can come in and buy soap at the store, but it's something.
But you actually have like a brick and mortar store?
Yeah, we have a brick and mortar here in Maine, and we were online mostly. And she built it. It's not like I just sort of came in at the end and, helped a little. But it's mostly her thing, but it's a full-time job for both of us. And so we mostly ship things online, and then there's a brick and mortar. It's longwinterfarm.com.
Longestwintereverfarm.com?
No, just longwinterfarm.
I'm just kidding.
All right.
We're having the longest winter ever.
This is the short winter for us up here in Maine. It's been a crazy short winter, other than the random blizzard in April. In the middle of April. But we also do lip balm, and so we've had a couple lip balms go viral.
So
Longwinter Farm.
Farm.com. Okay.
And so those lip balm sales are down because that's more of a luxury, but the soap sales are up.
I did like a I don't know what you call it. What's it called when this is terrible. But like like it's just you and you have this like cute little shop. There's like a word for that, like an Etsy word for that. Okay, we'll call it a boutique. Yeah. But I did some boutique soaps for my wedding.
Okay.
And I had them wrapped in I think I have it. Keep talking.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So
what are we going to talk about today, Lucas?
I don't know. We're really well organized, so that's great.
So, and then I wrapped them. I had this
Okay.
logo made for our family.
Sure.
So I'm Shreeman, he's Moreno.
Okay.
And then it says Shreemore.
Nice.
And then love, family, gratitude. Like those are our values.
Sure.
And we only
values.
got married like 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And but the 7-year-old is ours and the house is ours and all that stuff. And I wrapped the soaps with like this logo, and
Cool.
It was a cool thing to give to people for
people like that.
Yeah.
The thing about soap as a gift, because that's essentially what you're doing there as a gift, is you can get people the same gift every year. It's a beautiful Christmas present because you get people the soap, and then presumably they'll use it over the course of a year. You hope. And then they'll be out, so you buy them more.
Right. So is this your pitch?
That's my pitch. That's why Christmas is our busy season, because
buy it again.
Just buy it again, and then you don't have.
You know
that's
what really
one person
works
you don't
again
think about.
too? Massages.
Oh yeah, not now.
Trips. Oh no, I know. That was actually one of the last things I did, because my birthday was March 12th, as this was all, and both of my birthday presents got canceled.
Ooh.
So Tom was going to take me to, and we had these tickets for forever, to the Mormon. What's it called? Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon. Okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah, we're pretty generally, California heathens, irreverent about religion kind of thing. I grew up Jewish. Happy Passover, by the way. I don't want this just be an Easter thing. But yeah, so that got canceled. And then he also got me, like, he started me on this like monthly membership to a yoga studio, and I got to go to one class, and then it was like,
and then
the doors were closed. I was like,
that sucks.
But yeah, so okay, soap every year.
Soap every year. It's great. It's a great present because it's easy and it makes your house smell good.
You do something different thematically every year.
Yeah,
like that's what I would do. I would do peppermint for everybody one year, and fur for everybody the next year.
Yeah, there you go. It's perfect. You throw in some lip balms. We have some political lip balms, so you send those to your cousin.
To your enemies.
Wears a stupid red hat, and then, it's a nice passive-aggressive thing to do.
Passive-aggressive soap.
Yeah, why not?
From Long Winter Farm.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about, you talked about the fat, like your process, right? Or I guess coping with it. So what sort of fat are you finding that you don't need?
So a lot. So the first 25 days of this were like my easiest 25 days.
Okay.
Because I was just like, no end in sight, like I'm not even thinking about the end.
Right.
Okay. Because who knows when that's coming? And I think if you start thinking about the end, then you're just kind of going to be in negativity because you just keep getting disappointed. So that's how I am kind of, and really the first focus was, I'm doing too much in my life. And the way it kind of works for me is it's almost like some kind of like weird little hero thing where I'll see an opportunity to lead and I'll be like, oh, I can do that. Let's just go do that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So I have these like incredible projects that I've been working on. One of them I call my brush fire because it's moving incredibly fast. And that's the true crime series. And then this Best Death Ever is the feature. It's the reason I became a director. I started directing 4 years ago. It's called Best Death Ever. I wrote it with a partner who actually went to FSU. We were talking about that before. I think he went to FSU. Gregor Collins. I know he went to school in Florida.
Yeah.
And that one's, I've been working on that one for 11 years. And then I have this other one, the animated TV, series, and that one's really has a really interesting thing too. So I've got these three things that, I could be doing something on each one of them every single day, but then I'm like, oh, I started a maker club at my kid's school, and I do this thing in Topanga called the Topanga Talking Stick, and we meet once a month, and it's like a council, and I'm trained in council. I'm a level 3 trained council facilitator, and so all of a sudden this thing happened, and I'm like, I could go do something that is like meeting people's needs during this time. And that's what my brain started doing. And I was like, whoa. Like, let's get everything that's not what I'm calling the main road out of the way and just really hunker down and focus and actually kind of let this be a shift in how I approach my work in general, because these things, while I, have budget time to do them, they're very distracting. And it's not just these two things. It's like I'm always looking for other little plates to spin.
Yeah.
So I've just been confronting my process. And what I'm identifying now is that, the life of a creator, director, writer, showrunner is you're not doing, there's not one thing, creativity and that like sparking creative thing is like, I don't know, 20% of what this is. And then there's all this other stuff. So now I'm kind of, my next phase is to kind of look at, okay, well, here are the 3 things that I should be doing. And how am I going to engage with those on a daily basis? So that's kind of what I mean about cutting out the fat. But then there's also like self-care and staying creatively refreshed and stimulated. So for example, self-care is like I planted a garden during this time. And that for me was like, I need a little more control over my food because, there's no there's no guarantee that there's fresh food, fresh produce when I'm going.
And we don't know what's going to happen with the supply chains.
Totally. So, and I'm already seeing breaks in the, all of that right now. So that was like productive, but also helped me feel a sense of accomplishment and creative stimulation and that kind of thing. So I also know that this main road includes these other things that, like, if I'm in a writer's block moment where I'm like, how do I get, because this happened to me the other day, I'm on chapter 4 now. I call them chapters because I may end up releasing Max Wrigley as a book, but I do have some good interest in it as a television show. So it could end up getting sold that way first, but so I'm doing them by chapters. I'm on chapter 4 right now. And I just hit this block and I was like, and then I know self-care, keep myself moving forward. I like to actually draw. I'm not like some great artist, but I like doing it, and it helps my brain stay in that creative space in moments when I need some support. So the main road includes also that kind of so this is what I'm identifying, I guess. Did you hear did I answer your question along the way?
Totally. For me, it's running. That's the thing that clears my head. And luckily for me, because is I live in a rural enough area where there's not a ton of traffic on the road, people running, and nobody runs on my road for some reason. But although we're starting to see a few more now, like there goes someone right now just walking down the street. Anyway, that's weird timing. But so that helps me sort of get in a headspace. Like you get those first 2 miles where you're like, I'm too hungover for this or whatever. And then, you get into miles 4, 5, 7, I work out a lot of things creative and otherwise doing that. So that's been really helpful for me.
I mean, you're really doing a nice pitch for exercise. I mean, I'm struggling right now just because it's me and the kid, and he's he doesn't he actually has kind of resisted the learning how to ride a bike. So
that's a good age for riding a bike.
I live in a hilly area too, so I'm not sure. There's going to be some kind of and I've already told Tom, I'm like, we really need to use this time to teach Maverick how to use a bike so that after, or at some point along the, but then I can't just leave the house and go for a run. But that's a good point. I'm glad that you're reminding me that that kind of, because that'll maybe get me on my bike when my husband gets home, because I've been a little oh no, I'm onto something here,
Well, the beauty, I think, of exercise especially with what we're dealing with now, is that it will help your immune system, which is obviously priority 1 for everything at this moment.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm walking, my son and I are walking about an hour a day.
Well, there you go.
But it just, and I'm like, honey, mama needs a hill. I'm sorry, we have to go up this hill. So yesterday we had a little moment where he stopped on the hill and sat down, and I was like, I'm going. Like, and in my head, I was like, don't turn around. Don't turn around. He's going to follow you.
Yeah. One thing you said that sort of triggered something in my head was with the plate spinning. And one thing I kind of learned, because I have the same thing where I'm like, oh, I could do that. And then you get in this like volunteer situation where you have to deal with like 15 other people. And then you just spend a lot of time banging your head against the wall, trying to convince other people to like stop being an idiot or do this one thing, or like, why are you all picking fights about this nonsense? Just do it. And I've learned, like, and this is probably in the last 2 years, I've sort of learned the value of solo volunteering. So you get all the value of the volunteering, but you don't have to deal with anybody else. And you just do the thing. And like, yeah, I kind of love that.
The way I'm translating it, and maybe it's similar, is that like, I don't have to lead. Mm-hmm. I can just show up in an environment where somebody else is leading, go in, do my thing, and go out.
And then bounce. Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, I will obviously continue volunteering. But I don't, I have to figure out a way to segue from complete accountability to, you know. And,
well, the trick is if you can find something that no one else is going to do anyway. So then everybody's just happy with whatever you do. So like my brother's a basketball coach and I do stats for him and nobody else is going to do it. Like either I'm going to do his stats for him at games or nobody's going to do it. So I'm like,
are you seeing your brother?
No,
are you guys separated?
We're separated. He's like 2 towns over. So we talk on Zoom and stuff and like whatever, but basketball season's over. So
your kids have cousins?
Yeah, they have cousins and they've sort of seen them a little on Zoom.
Oh, but they're not mixing.
So we're just locking it all down because who knows where they're going, and it's what you got to do.
Exactly. Yeah, isn't that weird? Like even your family.
It's so very weird, and they're like right there, so there's sort of cross paths, and like I'll drop stuff on my parents' like steps, things like that. But
so there's that. That's nice of you.
Yeah.
So there's that idea of cutting out the fat that's been, I mean, you're staying on the main road.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this, you know, I'm definitely in a space right now where I'm seeing a lot of people doing like this spring cleaning thing, you know, like deep spring cleaning. I'm seeing all
what else are you going to do?
The street. And I did like a nice little office purge thing. But I think I'm gonna go a little deeper on that whole thing and just try to get my systems whirring a little better. And I definitely turned to meditation. Like I really, it's been a practice of mine for 20 years, and now is a really good time. And then also, I guess I'm trying to deal with this. Another thing that's come up for me, and I think part of what people are going through is they're kind of facing their shadow or their dark side. Like in the beginning, like that first week or two, I had the opportunity to kind of through different Zooms, you know, I'm part of a bunch of different women's organizations, and through different Zooms, I met some women in their 20s, and they were really struggling in the beginning. Like they were really facing this like a depression. And I thought, like, at my age, I've been through the ups and downs.
Also in your 20s.
What?
Also in your 20s.
Oh, also
late 20s, yeah.
No, but my point is, like, at my age, you know, well double that or ish. I've been down and up and down and up, and I've been able to, and so I wonder if like this is just revealing to people some of their things that they, you know, have to confront or deal with for the first time, and to learn to manage it. And just be like, okay, this is part of me. I get sad when I can't hang out with people, you know, and how do I deal with that? Because that may never go away. I may just be this person who needs, you know, this, whatever it is. And so one of the things that I'm starting to see, I lost myself on my details. I forgot what it was. Sorry, maybe it'll come back.
Maybe. I mean, it's kind of like that age, you're just used to seeing people all the time. And so that can be like drastic when you're not. I mean, we're Generation X, so we're really good at avoiding everybody. That's kind of like our thing. That's our generation's like wheelhouse, is the leave me the fuck alone.
Really?
I think for a big chunk of it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and like people I know, but it's like, all right, if we have to go, we'll go into the thing and find the dog at the party and talk to that. So I mean, for me, it's been great.
I had that for a long time, but I always felt like that was more of like an angsty thing that I didn't associate with being Gen X, because I saw other people like relating just fine.
Oh. Maybe it's just I just know all the angsty people. But yeah, it can be drastic when you don't have any real experience with that, and then you're not like, oh, I'm gonna go and like go to a cabin in the woods for 3 days. This is like, no, for a month. You're just not leaving the house. That's it.
Oh, this is going on way longer than a month. I'm really proud of California. Definitely, like, oh, we got something right. Like, we were flattening our curve. And I feel like if we just like think, oh, 4 weeks from now, I can jump on a plane and go visit my parents, who I'd really love to see right now, I don't want to do it because I don't want to mess up the flattening. Yeah. And then also go watch some Spanish flu stuff. Do you know about the Spanish flu?
I am familiar, yeah. Oh yeah, my wife's been telling me all about the Spanish flu and making me wear a mask and all sorts of nonsense.
I mean, the Spanish flu came back a year later on its like third round, and that's when it started like leveling everyone, so that gets me really concerned that like, oh, this is just a taste,
Yeah, so, you wonder if we'll be back here a year from now in the same spot.
Perhaps.
Or worse.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to be fatalistic about it. I just want to be responsible about it, and I'm glad that we're being well advised, I guess, in our state.
My hope is that the Spanish flu, like, of all the, like, humanity has a lot of problems, but science has gotten certainly better since 1918. And, like it used to be, if, I don't know how much you follow sports, but if you had a microfracture surgery, your career was over. That was it. You were done. You never played again. You tore your ACL, you were done. And now it's like, we know exactly how long an ACL takes to recover from. We know what a player's going to look like when that, and it's, they're like out maybe a year and then they're back to normal. So, I mean, if we've got enough doctors and scientists working on this, that I'm thinking we should be able to handle it better than the Spanish flu.
I have 2 ACL reconstructions, by the way.
So yeah, so you're familiar.
But mine were done too long ago to actually fit into your thesis, because the first one like got retorn, and I walk around with like a weakened knee. But how can I be most beneficial to your listeners?
All right, so let's talk about crowdfunding, because that's kind of where we're starting. I'm starting on this thing and sort of going from there, because I think a lot of people are going to come out of this with projects that they can't sell, because they're going to have a project and everybody else will have a project and there'll be no money because the studios won't know what the hell they're doing. And, so you did. Okay. So the thing that I know
is it selling that you want to talk about? Is like, how do you sell post-apocalypse, or is it, you're saying raising money to, I see what you're saying, selling like a script. So why don't you make it yourself, and how do you fund it yourself?
Yeah. So we'll do some of that. So you did It's a Good Day to Die. First of all, so IMDb says you were the director of fundraising on Fuel. Yeah. Which I remember from Sundance. I didn't see that at Sundance. I'm pretty sure I saw it after Sundance.
Yeah. So that's basically an EP position.
Right. So, but that was pre-Kickstarter, right?
Yes. No.
Because it was 2008.
2008.
Yeah, Kickstarter started in 2009.
Yeah. But we used a very kind of grassroots way. So that's a documentary. And I feel like documentaries are very easy to raise money for once you have something in the can. And a lot of documentaries get started by people just going out there and starting to shoot something they're super curious or passionate about, right? So once you have something together, and I got it when it was, I like to say, about 85% complete. So I felt like my job was like super easy. And what we did was we identified 10 cities where the people who had worked on the project already had a lot of friends, family, infrastructure. They went to university there. Things that you would probably think about in distribution as well. And in these 10 cities, we held screening events, and you had like a minimum of 100 people in attendance. So it was somewhere usually between like, I guess, 85 and 200 people who were watching it. And then every chair had an envelope underneath it. And, you know, we asked people to bring their checkbooks, and then they got a pitch from the director at the end and producer at the end of that. And then we raised a lot of money that way.
Really? I like the envelope idea. That's like a nice touch, because it's a sort of a twist on the thing where you win a prize.
Right. But then also, right, like a total twist, like a 180. Like, we're not giving you anything, you're giving us something.
Yeah. Did you put a prize in like one of them, and you're like, one of you is going to get a prize and the rest of you get some money?
The environment gets healed, and we all help do it together.
Yeah.
But then also, you know, Josh had he even had a huge following then. So this was his first feature, but he had been driving around the country for, 10 years at that point, like, talking to people about fuel, like getting off of fossil fuels and using green fuels and all that stuff. So he had a good steady base by then too. And it was a cause, like most
that was around An Inconvenient Truth, right? When was An Inconvenient Truth?
I don't know, you could look that up. I want to say The Inconvenient Truth came after Fuel.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And then it won the Audience Award for Best Documentary at Sundance. So you were there that year?
No, I wasn't there that year, but I don't think so. I've been to 2 Sundances, and I can never remember which ones. Okay, I can just remember the movies that were there.
That was the way we raised money for that. And then the 3 crowdfunding campaigns.
You did It's a Good Day to Die with Gregor Collins.
Right. And that
I think I backed.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I backed.
Lucas.
I remember that one. I don't know if I backed it. I remember sharing it, definitely.
So that is Best Death Ever.
Okay, that was going to be my question. Is either do you just have a weird fixation with death, or is it the same project?
Well, doesn't everybody have a weird fixation?
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. Mine is about, like, I don't know. So far, mine has been about, like, the death industry. And, how are we dying as a society? And really taking a look at that, and people, like, getting more empowered around dying at home, or, dying on their own terms, or, my writing partner on that one, he wrote a book about his experience called The Accidental Caregiver, which he tours for around the world and talks to people about his experience being a caregiver to a very famous Holocaust refugee named Maria Altman. And he was with her for the last 3 years of her life. And then they made a movie about her I think it's called The Woman in Gold. Helen Mirren played her in the movie.
Ooh.
So he was coming from this really specific caregiver point of view, and I was coming from this point of view of, how are you empowered at the end of life? My mom had her first stroke, and I was like looking at losing the matriarch, and that whole thing. So that's what kind of thrust me into that question. But let's talk about the fundraising thing for a second. So we successfully raised $15,000 as a development fund for that movie.
Okay.
And then the second one I did was for Candle, which is a music video that was about healing from domestic violence. And we got 75% of what we wanted to raise, but we were able to keep it because we did it on Indiegogo.
Right.
And then I recently did the one for Side Effect, and we did that on Seed and Spark, and we wanted to raise, I think we said we got our 80%, which allowed us to go, and that was around 5,300 or something like that. And those were all 3 done on different platforms, and they were 3 different amounts, and 3 different teams, and
plus the Fuel one, that's effectively crowdfunding.
Yeah,
that's just not on a platform.
Crowdfunding. And even before there were platforms, the way that I would raise money for my projects is I would align myself with a nonprofit that has a similar mission as my mission. And so with Best Death Ever, that would be something like Compassion and Choices, or even the ICCFA, which it runs. It's like an organization for crematories, cemeteries, and funeral homes.
Okay.
So, they have a similar mission, which is for people to just really look at what their choices are at the end of life.
Right.
And I did that way before there were ever these crowdfunding platforms. And I had no problem like calling someone up like that and saying, hey, this is the mission of this project that I want to do, whether it's theater, film, a short, something we want to release on the internet, a commercial, a PSA, whatever it is. I even did it with Sierra Club. I partnered with Sierra Club and said I wanted to do a series of commercials, PSAs, about the climate, and they were like, sounds great,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and if you do that, then many organizations will say, great, we have some money in our marketing budget, or you can go ahead and raise money and filter it through our nonprofit.
Yeah.
But then we just need an administrative fee, and that
Right.
administrative fee for me has always been somewhere usually around 5 or 6%.
Mm-hmm. Which isn't bad because people love the 501c3. That's worth way more than 5 or 6% to
Right.
you and to the people you're getting money from.
Yeah. So, but I would say and I even wrote an article with Gregor called I think it was like the 7 crowdfunding secrets or something. But
was that on Film Courage?
Yeah,
I think I remember that.
But I went and looked for that recently, and I couldn't find it.
I think their archives are gone because I wrote for them for a long time, and I don't think any of it's there anymore because they transitioned to completely to video.
Okay, got it. Thank you. It actually makes me feel better knowing it wasn't just me.
No.
Yeah, and I think one of the greatest. Look, I used something interesting. We used a manager, like a campaign manager, on the candle one,
mm-hmm.
and that was great. He's like a coach, and his name's Mike Doherty. I don't know if you know him.
Maybe.
And he works with Indiegogo mostly, I think.
Okay.
What's great about using a manager is you want to find a manager who actually has a line of communication to the folks who are running the platform, because that just helps you. It
speeds things along.
Of, getting on the, being featured or just getting good feedback, getting support. And I really liked Mike. And he's a coach. But then on the last one that I did, and he also, by the way, helped with a lot of the look of it and having a unified brand for the campaign and all that stuff. That was great. But then on the one we did with Marty, I think I got the best piece of advice from Marty when we were working on that one. Marty Lang, he wrote Side Effect. And so he was a natural member of our team, and he has so much crowdfunding experience.
Oh, yeah.
One day I was just like, we were all just like at the end, all of us typing, and he's in Arkansas. At that time I was on the East Coast visiting my families. So I was in Virginia, and then my co-director, the star of it, co-producer star of it, Rennie Grames, was in Utah. So we're all in these 3 different places, and we're all just like, just like, and we were hitting like a little wall. Mm-hmm. And I guess we wanted to, I felt like I could break through to this one community, whether it was like my friends from high school or whatever. Marty just said, best piece of advice, just keep typing. And I thought that was genius. Yeah. It's just like, nothing magical was going to like come down and solve this problem of trying to get to the next milestone or trying to get to our 80%. I just needed to keep sending notes to people. Mm-hmm. Because maybe I sent 100, but it's the 101st one that's going to break through.
Yeah, you never know where it's going to come from.
And I think a lot of people go into fundraising thinking that if they just set up a platform or they just set up a campaign, that like the money will flood in.
It will not.
I really do. I think a lot of people do that, because you see these campaigns that like, they set up the website and then wait for the money.
Mm-hmm. And then the money doesn't show up. I've seen that work once on a thing I worked on. Yeah. But it was not, it wasn't so much that, it was just, it sold itself. And so I worked on this campaign for these sunglasses that was on Kickstarter, and the goal was $5,000, and they were like there was some military gimmick, and it raised like 300 something. or maybe it was 400. It was like 300 something $1,000 on a $5,000 thing. But it was just the sunglasses looked cool, and there was a Navy SEAL gimmick or whatever it was. And so you looked at that and you're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take that. But you weren't like funding like a creative project or anything like that. It was the
Right, like you were going
thing
to
I've
get
ever
these
done.
sunglasses.
Yeah, you were just going to get these
product.
sunglasses, and they were going to be cheaper than if you bought them in the store in a year.
Yeah.
And that's really the only way it works, I think.
And that's quite impossible unless you're Kevin
Smith?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, unless you're like a really established filmmaker. You know, if Richard Linklater goes on Kickstarter, I'm like, yeah, just take my money. Just, how much money do you want?
Didn't Kevin Smith like fund Red State?
Yeah.
Through crowdfunding?
Yeah, and people
that's why I'm using that example. But yeah, Richard Linklater, come on to crowdfunding.
Like I'm going to do the Fourth Before movie, but I need your help. But I'm like, all right, I'm in. Yeah.
That's a product, right?
I'm sold.
Yeah, so yeah, when people are giving you $1,500, $1,000 for your movie, you know, some of them are buying a credit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we did have someone come in at the $1,000 mark on Side Effect, and they bought the EP credit, and that's awesome. It's good for them because it's a product. Mm-hmm. They know exactly what they're getting. They're getting an EP credit.
Yeah.
And you know, they also knew me, so it wasn't like a random person. They're there to support me, or you know, whoever else. But I will say this about the crowdfunding: don't do it alone.
No.
Never do it alone.
Yeah, you should never do that alone. You should have more people than you think you need.
And I think at least three in the main hub is really helpful, really valuable. You know, bouncing things off of each other. And I don't know, have you ever done it with like more than three at the helm?
I'm trying to think. I don't know, I think 3 is probably the limit. But I've always done ones where with most of them, where it's like, it's 1 or 2 or 3 people at the helm, but then I know that there's a network of like 25 people who are going to pay attention to it, you know, and I know that like, I don't have to go, like, do you know Paul Osborne?
No.
Okay. Well, Paul Osborne's one, or, you know, the sort of, it's really when you did A Great Day to Die with Gregor, there was in 2011, there was this nice network of film Twitter, with Film Courage and Marcella and people like that. And you just, Gregory Bain, and you just all knew, you're like, okay, whoever has the campaign going now, we're all going to give them $10 and we're all going to sort of promote them. And it was this really nice infrastructure that was in place. And I think you need that, obviously. I think that certainly helps. But yeah, you need 2 or 3 people sort of at the helm and really pushing. And then you need sort of a little network that you can sort of, I think of it as like throwing rocks in the water. You need like a lot of little rocks going all over the place and get the circles. And then you cover the whole lake.
You know, virility, or, you know, what it means to go viral, which we should all have a fine lesson in now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is really
not always great.
Well, it's really about, and I think that's what probably happened with those sunglasses, is if you can find or have 1 or 2 people in your circle that are an influencer or have like, can really amplify, it's really never about you. It's about your network and what they can do.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, and then of course, all you can control is yourself. So you have to be willing to just be there and, you know, like,
you have to do the work,
pushing away and doing the work and not stop, like just keep pushing. So it's a great lesson in what this whole business is anyway. And I was applying to a lot of for a faculty position on a couple of universities this year, and a lot of that actually got shut down. It's really interesting because I had like, again, I had like an interview.
If they had hired you, they, you know.
That they haven't hired me yet, but I went and every time I was on there, I would pitch. I would be like, you know, I could teach a crowdfunding class, and I could talk about Marty and how he's doing it now at University of Central Arkansas. But it's like, it's so the funny thing is, like, this is not funny. There's not a day in my entire career when I haven't been raising money. not
Yeah,
a day.
that sounds
Since,
about right. Because
since
there's always another project,
and
and you
since
never have too much money.
since I was like living in New York doing theater,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we were raising money to put on our shows, and it's just, and so it is like an incredibly valuable skill. And if you're not teaching people how to do that, what, they have to like relearn the curve over and over and over again? It's like having babies. Like we've forgotten how to have babies. Like, you know, okay, I'm just going to turn my body over to you and hope that this all works out. It's like, you know,
It's the same.
You're going to have to raise money.
Yeah.
So this is a lesson in raising money, and the fortitude is like translatable into everything that you do. Okay,
so I'll flip that on you a little bit, because we haven't forgotten how to make babies or have babies, but there's been changes. So since you've been doing this for a long time, what has changed? Like, what do you think that you did that you would have done in like 2008 or in 2011 that you wouldn't do now because it wouldn't work anymore? Or that you would, maybe it wouldn't work anymore is the wrong way to put it, is clearly not the best way to do it anymore, if that makes sense.
I think I'm going to broaden that out a little bit.
Sure.
Even beyond the fundraising, and just like the things that have evolved for me as a, you know, content creator in the last like 20, 25 years. I mean, definitely there's like I like to pace myself now. Like I don't over communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do try to remind people of my existence on a fairly regular basis, or the fact that like, hey, I haven't seen that, you know, new draft yet of our agreement, or, you know, like I like to say, but I feel like, you know, a lot of these people, you're going to the same people for money every time. Mm-hmm. So they want to know that their money has made a difference for you, and that you've actually progressed, and that, you know, something has happened. I think so I would say I used to communicate with people a lot more and have like a regular, you know, monthly, whatever. Now I'm like, I think as long as I'm just letting people know you donated to this, and here's what we've done so far. Mm-hmm. There's that. And there's just keeping in mind that you don't want to go to the same people every 6 months or year or whatever. I try to space it out.
Right.
The ask. You know, I think what's happened to me over the last 25 years is I've just learned how to become right-sized. That's what I like to say. That the way in which I engage with people is more right-sized. It's like I'm much more clear about like, what is the one thing that I'm asking from this person at this time? And then I don't go back to them for that thing I'm asking everybody for. So I have like these different kind of groups of people, and I know like, and I'm super careful about like in an email, just like staying super focused.
Okay.
So there's a lot less splattering and a lot more like hyper focus. And I'm tempted. I got to tell you, I'm tempted because I have these 3 projects, right? So right now I need someone I really need to talk to somebody in licensing at the Washington Post. And so I'm going to my very high up, like hedge fund manager type people.
Yeah.
And saying, do you know anybody at the Washington Post? I need your help. I have a friend who's an agent very high up at WME. I'm screwed with him because with him, I'm like, every month I'm like, hey, I need to talk to Rob Lowe. And then the next month I'm like, do you know somebody at the Washington Post? And then the next month I'm like, something about the animated feature. And he's like, I've confused him completely.
Yeah.
Right. But I think this idea of like,
maybe Rob Lowe knows someone at the Washington Post. Because then
he's very good friends with Rob Lowe.
You can narrow it down, but if Rob Lowe just hits 2 at once.
It's not crazy.
No, it seems reasonable to me.
But I think that's like getting right sized and not like, you know, vomiting all over people. It's just like, I need this one thing from you. Can you help me out? And then leaving them alone for
Do you
6
think-
months.
Do you think part of it is that people get hit with more than they did 25 years ago? Like if you just think about your email account, like you used to get like an email a day and you were like, oh my gosh, someone emailed me, it's a miracle. And now you get like, you're getting 50 emails a day of just these people telling you how they're handling the coronavirus and like, or how their privacy things have changed and stuff.
I think it depends. I think it depends on where people are, because like some of the people who are the most high up, they answer all their emails. So that's the best way to get through to them.
Right.
They literally answer every single. So that guy that I know, that my friend at WME, you know, this another agent friend that, you know, is more of an acquaintance, that like every single email I sent her, she responds to. So I think
respond to all these emails.
They are in the business and how they manage their inbox. And people have gotten better about how they manage their inbox, I think. But I'm on your side where I ignore a lot of stuff. And maybe it's because I'm a Gen Xer. But I ignore a lot. But I think it's more that I don't have a team here.
Maybe that's why we're not at the top of like the business. If we replied to all of our emails,
our email box.
Yeah.
Because we're not properly managing our email.
That might be it.
What? I'm going to hang up right now and go fucking manage my email box. If that's what it takes to get to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to joke I got my email.
Say I'm not at the top. F you.
I got very excited when my email hit 1,000. I was like, inbox 0, I did it.
Oh, dude, no. I mean, 1,000 is 0.
Yeah. I mean,
relatively. Right now.
I felt pretty good about it.
I mean, I've gotten way past 10,000, and right now I'm at 7.
That seems about right. Yeah.
So I've got some work to do.
Yeah. I don't even know what mine is anymore. It's just, that was just the notification thing on my phone. It just said 1,000. I was like, wow.
winner.
Because that's not all of them. That's not, you know, the 82 emails from Netflix that I got this month.
Right. No, I was doing that's part of the cleansing, the spring cleaning. What's that?
It's like 11:03 and Dad is not even up.
I know. Dada had a rough night last night.
Wow.
But it's not COVID.
That's good. That's the important thing.
It was the scallops. I think we need to leave Dada alone. But if you want to, Lily, let's see. Hi, everyone. We're just having a kid moment. This happened
in every episode of this project so far. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Minecraft? What do you do? Madden? Okay, yes to Madden.
Madden.
Yeah, yes to Madden. All right.
What team is he playing as in Madden?
Cowboys? What?
Chargers.
Chargers.
Chargers. Oh.
Easy game, Cowboys in practice.
Okay. Good.
I'm super impressed. Like, I've been trying to keep him off of that because it's obsessive. But then I watched him do it, and there's so many different levels of things that he's learning. He was like selling a player, you know, the other day.
Oh,
and,
the
like,
franchise mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot to that.
It's actually really interesting for you to like figure out, although the whole idea of auctioning players feels really like racist.
It does feel it's a little, yeah. I mean, that's how I taught myself Excel in order to do fantasy baseball. But this was in, you know, like the 90s on Windows 95 or whatever. And that's been probably the most valuable skill I've learned from my childhood is how to use Excel. So
it's a good skill.
Yeah, you never know. You never know where these things, how these
you obviously learned to read too. You've got a lot of great books back there.
I did learn to read, yeah. There's that.
That's also a good skill. I want to try to provide something that is really going to be helpful to your listeners. I mean, this has been a very enjoyable conversation for me.
Yeah.
But I definitely, I hope that I have something to offer. And this is the great thing about, you know, getting a little older is that like before I was sure I had something to offer. And now I'm pretty sure I probably don't.
Like I might.
So I don't know, maybe another something that will help.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about selling scripts, right? You
Mhm.
mentioned that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? I don't know anything about selling scripts because when I was actively making films, I was the type of filmmaker where I'm like, I'm just going to write it and then I'm going to shoot it and then we'll worry about the rest of it later. So what do you think is going to happen to selling scripts? Because, I mean, what is the market? I mean, the market was already weird for like
Yeah,
original
I
ideas.
think the best thing that I can offer around this is about relationship.
Mhm.
And that, this is always where it's the root of all success in business.
Yeah.
Most success in business. I mean, even a lot of these like self-made people, they're
They're
back,
never self-made.
they're backed at a certain point, or they have like, because of their relationships, they have that perfect CTO or the perfect, designer in their company, like Elon Musk has. And what I noticed in terms of what's happening, the positive movement, and me being able to pitch right now, and staying in a very healthy, positive place even during this. All my projects are moving forward. And what I noticed is there's a level of comfort once you come together with someone and 3 people in common.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this defining line. And I recently was introduced to a production company that we're settling right now on a deal for the true crime series. And they're a great company. They're still a little young and hungry, but the guy who's running it was a network guy and been around for a while. And I walked in and we knew 3 people in common. And they were from totally different parts of my life, all very well established, all like even one of those people could have gotten me in the door anywhere, but because we knew these 3 people, it was just like a total shorthand. It's like, I trust you, you trust me. Okay, what's going on? We were just like super clear. There's not a lot of like hierarchy in the conversation. And that also bodes well because this is a company that's very talent focused, that wants to, really support the vision of the creator and work with the creator. And so if that wasn't the case, but so my point is it's always been relationships and it's still going to be relationships. So I may or may not be able to make a prediction about, selling your thing later. I mean, at this point, I would say if you're a writer and you're not on Twitter, if you're a showrunner and you're not on Twitter, you're kind of missing a lot of really good unique market opportunities to kind of cut through a lot of the BS or a lot of the confusion. I will say that to add to that, we looked at this last year, we've been looking at a question of how integral are the agencies and right now.
Right.
And the fact that, we were about to strike there, it was about to be a writer's strike. And now when I talk to people on the phone, the agencies are hit very hard right now, very hard. But the people who already had deals in place that are already connected and working on things, they're still working.
Right. Because they're doing Zoom.
Yeah. And animation is like insanely ramped up right now.
Sure.
Because you can actually make something animated right now without being in the same room with anybody. But the thing that will help the agencies be relevant in any way, shape, or form, one of the things is the relationships.
Right.
They're still like deeply connected to both sides of the playing field. So they will find that relevance, however that gets broken up or whoever gets, has to get laid off or whatever, the relationships will remain. And so and this is an amazing time to be relationship building.
Sure.
So get yourself on a Zoom cocktail. I made a commitment at the beginning of this year that I was going to because I've been working with women in media almost exclusively as the women's organization that I've been supporting, and also, tapping into their events and their networking and all that stuff. I used to think of networking as a dirty word. And when I made a New Year's resolution at the beginning of this year was to go to 100 parties.
Oh, that's not going to work.
I thought it was going to be crushed, but I'm still able through Zoom to meet the criteria.
Oh, so you're counting the Zoom parties. Sure.
For you, since you're such a wallflower, that's a nice way of saying what you are, but since you hate people, no.
I don't like people and people don't like me. So it's, it works well.
Yeah, you're still a flower.
I was once described as an unsuccessful Larry David.
Oh God. That is cruelty. Poke that person's eyes out. Well, yesterday my son called me poop. So what do you want?
Hey, there you go.
He called me smelly jelly and poop. And he thought it was cute. And I was laughing, so I'm encouraging him. So yeah. We were trying to come up with a rap yesterday that rhymes with COVID-19. And we came up with completely obscene and part of the machine, but that's as far as we got.
Yeah.
And then smelly jelly came out and poop. Yeah. It was all in the good spirit of writing a rap.
That sounds like a conspiracy theory rap. If you're saying it's obscene and there's part of the machine, you're like, this is a thing, it's a trick. I feel like that's where you were going with that thematically. Well,
my guess is that all things lead to conspiracy theories with you then, because no. No, not at all. But maybe I am trying to help Maverick recognize conspiracies.
Yeah.
So the 100 parties, I mean, this is now spinning off into another anecdote, but
sure.
At the beginning of the year, so I love Sundance, and who knows if we'll be able to do it next year. I mean, everybody comes home with a virus from Sundance before COVID. So, it's definitely a great place to go. Film festivals are great places, especially in the winter, to go pick up, cold.
Whatever.
Yeah. So hopefully a deal. Hopefully a distribution deal. Go pick up a distribution deal. That's the best virus. So I called it party banking. January, I think I'd already been to 20 parties in January. And 13 of them were at the 7 days I was at Sundance. But then my criteria are, there have to be 3 or more adults. I have to be either eating or drinking. It has to be either inspiring conversation or music. And here's the kicker. I have to have no agenda.
So you're just there to hang out.
Just there to hang out. And, things develop. And that was a big breakthrough for me. And that was really what I'm trying to push myself, is like, I always kind of in the back of my mind when I walk into a space had been like, well, so-and-so is going to be there and he would be great for XYZ. And it's like, I just wanted to just tear that down, because it's just terrible.
Yeah.
Like going into any environment, even if it's a kid's birthday party, like hoping that I can meet someone. It's just, it's gross. So I just wanted to have no agenda. So this is kind of, and with all these Zooms, as long as I have a drink in my hand and I have no agenda, it's like they count.
Yeah, there you go. So the beauty of the Zoom ones is, 1, you don't have to drive home. 2, if you get too drunk and you would end up in a normal party doing something embarrassing, you just exit stage left and no one knows. You just close the computer and Irish goodbye and you're all set.
That's right. There's no walk of shame.
There's no walk of shame. There's no, I'm really sorry, dude, that I puked in your car. There's none of that. So it's pretty helpful. And the drinks are probably cheaper.
Yes.
Than if you were at like a bar or something.
Oh, they're definitely, yes. No, I want bottle service in my house. Maverick. It's fun. Yeah. So I feel like this is an incredible time to be doing those. So Film Launch is doing every Wednesday. They do a 5 p.m. Pacific time, 1 hour, like social kind of cocktail thing. Just go to filmlaunch.com and check out their free events. And then
I'm gonna write that down. So
yeah. And then I'm part of Glass Elevate, so I'm always looking for what are they doing? And if you go to Women in Media, and men are welcome too, that go to their site, and just, you have to really watch to see when they're posting their kind of Zoom apocalypse. What did they call it? Corona apocalypse or something? Cocktails.
Nice.
And they're not the only ones, but I think that's one of the best things that anybody can be doing right now. And I even did one where I just called together my old high school friends that I hadn't, some of them I hadn't seen in like 10 or 20 years.
I feel like in a way we're almost going to be better at coordinating, because like normally we're like, oh, we'll all go to this place and we'll hang out, and like half the people would show up and whatever. And then with this, you're like, I'm not doing anything. So, all right, I'll get on the Zoom for a half hour. And I kind of wonder if we'll end up being more productive in those regards, even if it's not like work things, if it's just hanging out and like seeing your old classmates, because you would never do that in like the real world where you're going to things and your schedule is full.
No, I mean, I'm definitely finding that I feel like when I'm looking out at my neighborhood right now,
mm-hmm.
I'm seeing something similar to when I grew up. Because people are home. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is LA, dude. Like, nobody's home in LA. People are on the road between, 2 and 3 hours a day to get to and from wherever the heck they have to go.
I remember driving that,
Yeah, so it's like you're seeing people on the street walking their dogs, people are just sitting on their porches, and people are actually spending time teaching their kids. I'm seeing people teach their kids how to skateboard and ride their bikes, and, families being together in just ways that I haven't seen. And we were just going way too fast, way too fast. And so this is, I apologize to the people who are super suffering for saying this, but I hope this goes on longer. I really do, because people need to get broken. And I'm not talking about you and me mostly. I'm talking about corporations.
I was already broken, so.
Yeah, there's no hope for you. There was never any hope for you.
No.
But the people, like, corporations need to see how broken they are, and how much of a demand, just unrealistic demand, they're placing on their workers. And I think for companies and organizations to see, like, you know what, this is working with these people working from home. Why am I forcing these people to drive in and, paying the overhead of all the building costs when we can be productive with people being able to hang out with their dogs and have dinner with their families, and to see that, we need a living wage in our country, and for organizations to start to look at. So like when we went to the vet, we checked in outside, the vet came out to the car, got the dog, took them inside, and we did a nice little video chat. It was super effective.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know. It's just, I feel like people are potentially, like you just said, discovering new, more effective ways of doing things. And if this gets solved tomorrow, nobody's going to be like, okay, whoo, we learned something new.
Right.
They're just going to go back to the old way.
Right. There'll be a little bit, but not really. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to be able to, like, if we could learn some things about this, but like still have trivia night at the bar, that would be good, like a little bit of it. But yeah, I think we're learning a lot about ourselves, and we're learning a lot about what is and is not important about like our society and our economy, especially. And you kind of wonder what's going to happen to all these large office spaces.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, it was already an issue. It was already an issue with the government. I remember what did I do? I went to visit some government office, and they must have had like a 20,000 square foot. They hadn't even like shifted since automation. So they had like 3 people, and then this like computer station for like 10 people where you could go, do the business you needed to do on a computer. And they had that one person walk all the way across this 20,000 square foot, thing to come to you at this 1 out of 10 terminals to help you with this thing. And I was like, you guys haven't figured this out yet, huh? Like, I'm paying for this big building right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Yeah. Just like efficiency, learning some new efficiencies. And I mean, even what I'm finding is we're spending less right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I'm not getting my hair did. I'm not, doing my one luxury of getting my nails done every 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
which is, only $40, and we're not doing childcare, right? So we're saving
Definitely.
a lot of money in those areas. And then it really forces me to look at, like, do I need that? Where am I? Should I have my son home 2 days a week or whatever, or more time? Because it's like, he's obviously thriving with it.
Right.
Our family is spending more time together in a nice way.
So far.
Meaning, like, we're not killing each other. So yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I think I got some good nuggets out there with
I think what you said was like where we don't have an end date. Because if we had an end date, we're all like, all right, we're just going to put up with this for a month and then whatever. But now you sort of settle into it and you're like, okay, it's like driving somewhere. When you're like, you have to drive a half hour to a place. You're like, okay, are we there yet? But then if you're like, no, we're driving 1,000 miles, then you just sort of settle in. You're like, okay, we're going to be in the car for a while. So I'm going to not hit my sister right away. I'm going to bring a pillow. I'm going to just be more prepared for this and for this to take a long time. Whereas being angsty about like, oh, holy shit. Hopefully we learn. I mean, we won't, but hopefully we learn something about that, about ourselves or about what we need to do.
Can I support you in any way? What are you making and what do you need?
I mean, right now, I'm not really actively doing anything creatively. And that was sort of my wife's suggestion was because I used to be a crowdfunding consultant. She's like, you might want to get back into this because it might, when this is over, it might bloom. And I was like, all right, well but I'm out of practice. So I was like, well, you know what? Let's do something like this. And then I'll just talk to people. And then even if it goes nowhere, then there'll be stuff that I can learn because I know a lot of people. So there'll be stuff that I can learn and other people will learn things. And then it'll be interesting. And it's something I can do from the house to keep from going crazy. So it's mostly just getting the word out on this, and I don't know. And then hopefully maybe I'll have some time because my schedule's a little more free than it used to be. I might be able to get some old projects off the ground. I don't know. I'm just sort of figuring it out. Sort of the idea behind this is I have no idea how this is going to go. I have no idea what the economy is going to do, what the creative economies are going to do. Not a fucking clue. So let's figure it out. We got time. Let's see what we can figure out. So that's just kind of my thinking with this is to sort of just play it how it goes, if that makes sense.
Okay, got it.
So,
well, I think you'll be able to edit this down to like a nice 20-minute conversation later.
No, I'll leave almost all of it in. It'll be fun that way. No, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, no, it's been nice hanging out with you for sure.
All right, so I'll wrap this up. So is there anything extra you want to say? Any parting words to those 25-year-old women that you've been talking to?
I mean, this too shall pass, right? Like, make friends with these feelings, and try to find productive ways to move through them. And also it's totally okay to, honor this, I'm struggling too. So like, not every day is going to be my most, this is what I was going to say about about that. Oh, you found it. Was one of the things that I'm confronting is I noticed in this last week that I have a very harsh inner critic that on a daily basis will let myself know if I've had a good day or a bad day. And it's like about like, do I feel like I accomplished enough today?
Sure.
And if I did, okay, take a deep breath. You can we'll let you go. Go have a nice night.
Yeah.
And then if I don't, there's like nothing inside me the only thing that will make me feel better is to do more work. And right now, sometimes it's hard to force myself to do more work because I am confronted with the discomfort of what it is to adjust to this lifestyle and to be responsible for my kid 24/7 with no break, no school, no anything. It's like me and him, you know, there's nowhere to go. So I've been really trying to look at that and trying to find ways to let myself off the hook, or to just kind of shift my thinking around, can I just be okay with every day? Just be okay with this day and this feeling and this weirdness.
Do you find it helps to be able to say to yourself, it's a fucking pandemic? You know, you can let yourself off the hook a little bit because it's a fucking global pandemic and it's not your fault.
I haven't done that yet. And I think part of, I live in SoCal. We deal with fires. We dealt with a school bombing threat this year. My active shooter threat at my school this year. And now we're in a pandemic. It's like, we have earthquakes, we have floods, it's like, there's things, this is it. This is life. This is it. I'm being thrown new wonderful challenges all the time. My goal at this point is to raise my child. Like, he's having a wonderful, idyllic childhood, but every once in a while I'm like, Maverick, do you think life is great all the time? And he's like, no. I'm like, damn straight. Like, whoever, like, I had this wonderful, idyllic childhood too, and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So, like, this is it. And life is full of these rough and tumble, up and down, things that I would love to be the person who goes to work and gets it done when I feel like shit. But I'm not. Sometimes I need to take a nap. Sometimes I need to take a bath. And that's what I'm just trying to, like, be okay with.
Yeah. Because we're all just trying to get through it.
Even when we're not in a pandemic.
Yeah, that's what we're all just trying to do, is get through the day, ultimately.
Yeah. So I would love to find ways to really, I'd love to be able to talk to you in 6 months and be like, the pandemic taught me
this is what I've learned.
Get shit done, even in a pandemic.
Yeah.
And then
if I figure that out, if someone tells me about how to do it, then I'll let you know. Send you a message. But maybe they will. Maybe we're all just sort of muddling through it, and at the end we'll have some idea of what's going on, and we'll be 5% better at things. But that's all right too.
Yeah, there's this great, do you know the book Atomic Habits? James Clear.
Maybe.
I think. He's like 1%. 1% improvement.
That's
it. That's all you need to go for. Just one little thing that you change, and the massive ripple effect that has.
Interesting. Yeah, there you go. And maybe that's just cutting out the fat. Could be. All right, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for talking to me. And anything you want to plug real quick? I mean, your crowdfunding campaign's over, so you don't have that easy thing.
I'd love to meet you on Twitter or Instagram.
And your Twitter feed is going to be, your Twitter thing is going to be right below you there.
Okay, great.
So there you go. Yeah. Follow her on Twitter. Pay attention to all of her projects. Her Best Death Ever is on Facebook, so you can go find it on Facebook, and you can find her on Instagram and all of the places where you find people.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah?
No.
No? You don't want to be in the video?
No.
Okay.
I want to be in the bath.
You want to take a bath?
No.
Okay. Can you tell everybody first to subscribe?
Mhm.
Can you say that?
Mhm.
Say it. Say subscribe.
Subscribe.
Okay. And then okay, and then hey, look at the people. Can you say bye-bye?
Bye bye.
Okay, bye-bye.